the silence of the forest is shattered by a wild roar. A puma leaps from the shadows, ready to strike two defenseless young girls. In a heartbeat, tragedy seems inevitable, but before the predator can reach them, a white blur bursts into the scene. It's Morocho, the family's Argentine Dogo. Without hesitation, he throws himself against the wild cat. The impact is brutal, and a savage battle begins right before the terrified eyes of the children. What seemed like the end now turns into a fight for life. But before we continue, tell me, where in the world are you watching this story from? Write the name of your country in the comments so we know how far Morocho's legend has traveled. And don't forget to subscribe to Wind Echo Untold, the channel where you'll find real stories of courage and loyalty that feel like a movie, but truly happened. Deep in the north of Argentina, surrounded by vast fields and dense forests, lies the Verdugo family's farm. Life here is simple, humble, and built on hard work. In this quiet corner of the world, far from the chaos of cities, every day depends on the strength of the land and the animals that share it. Among them was a dog unlike any other, Morocho, a Dogo Argentino. Known for his strength, intelligence, and calm spirit, he was not just a guardian of the farm, but part of the family itself. Morocho was a breed born to protect. Originally created in Argentina to hunt wild boars and pumas, the Dogo Argentino carried both courage and loyalty in his blood. But Morocho was different. To the Verdugos, he was more than just a dog of rare power. He was a gentle soul, patient with the children, always walking silently at their side as if he knew they carried something fragile that needed his watch. Two of those children were Sofia, just 10 years old, and her cousin Yoli, 11. The girls were curious and adventurous, always running through the fields, climbing trees, and chasing after the smallest wonders of the farm. On this particular day, they had a simple mission: to collect figs from a tree deep in the forest. For them, it was just another innocent adventure. They could never have imagined that danger, silent and unseen, was already watching them. From the shadows, hidden behind branches and tall grass, a predator had set its eyes on the girls. A wild puma, muscular and fierce, had been stalking them. It moved quietly, almost invisible, waiting for the perfect moment. To a predator like this, two distracted children looked like easy prey. But what the puma did not know was that it was not alone in the forest. Morocho, the silent guardian, had followed Sofia and Yoli as he always did, keeping his distance but never losing sight of them. He sensed something in the air, an energy that did not belong, a presence that did not fit the calm of the afternoon. His ears turned, his body stiffened, and in that moment he knew the girls were not safe. In the wild lands of northern Argentina, the puma is feared as the silent king of the forest. Strong, fast, and merciless, it hunts with precision, striking terror into anyone who dares cross its path. Farmers know its power well. For generations, men have lost livestock, and sometimes even their lives, when confronted by this predator. In the community, stories of pumas were told like warnings, reminding everyone that in these lands, humans were not always at the top of the chain. This particular puma was notorious. Unlike others that avoided humans, this one carried a history of bold attacks. It had already been spotted prowling near farms, stealing animals, and vanishing into the night before anyone could react. Hunters and vaqueros, armed and experienced, had tried to track it down. But again and again, they returned empty-handed. The beast seemed untouchable, clever enough to disappear, and strong enough to fight anyone who stood in its way. Whispers spread through the community, painting the animal as a shadow, a ghost of the forest. Farmers told their children to stay close to home, to avoid wandering too far. Even seasoned horsemen hesitated before entering the deeper woods, knowing that once the puma had marked its prey, escape was nearly impossible. Fear grew,
and with it, the legend of this untamable predator. On the day Sofia and Yoli entered the forest, this very puma had been watching. It moved with patience, hidden behind leaves and silence. The girls, distracted by their laughter and the figs they were collecting, had no idea that danger lurked only meters away. The puma's golden eyes followed every movement, every step, every careless moment. It waited, calculating, as predators do, for the perfect time to strike. The truth was simple. To the puma, the girls were not just intruders, they were prey, and prey had no second chances. Once the animal chose to attack, there would be no escape, no mercy. But fate had another plan, because the puma, for all its cunning, did not expect to meet a different kind of fighter that day. A silent protector, a warrior of flesh and blood who would stand between it and the children it sought. That fighter was Morocho.
The air grew heavy as the puma made its move. In a flash, it leapt from the shadows, its roar splitting the silence of the forest. The ground shook as the predator charged toward the girls. Sofia froze, clutching the figs to her chest. Yoli screamed, her voice echoing through the trees. For a moment, it seemed like there was no escape. The predator's speed was unstoppable. Then, out of nowhere, Morocho appeared. The Dogo Argentino lunged forward, placing himself directly between the children and the puma. His muscles tightened. His chest expanded with a growl that echoed like thunder. The clash came instantly, Morocho's body slamming against the predator's with brutal force. Dust rose, leaves scattered, and the girls could only watch in horror. The puma, larger and faster, reacted with fury. Its claws slashed through the air, striking Morocho's side and leaving deep marks on his white coat. The dog staggered but did not retreat. He bit fiercely, his jaws snapping with power. But the puma twisted, using its agility to break free. Morocho was strong, but the puma was wild, built for the hunt. Every time Morocho tried to pin the beast, the puma countered with speed, leaving back, then forward again with teeth and claws flashing. The sound of the struggle filled the forest. The thud of bodies colliding, the growl of the dog, the screech of the cat. The girls cried out, begging Morocho to win. But even at their young age, they could see it. He was being pushed to the edge. Blood stained Morocho's fur. His breath grew heavier. The predator, relentless, circled him, waiting for weakness. And for a terrifying moment, it seemed as though the brave dog could not hold much longer. The puma lunged again, knocking Morocho to the ground, pinning him with its weight. The girl screamed louder than ever, believing the fight was over. But Morocho's story was not of defeat. Even as he lay beneath the predator, battered and bleeding, something in his eyes refused to surrender. His first attempt had failed, but deep inside, the battle was only beginning.
Morocho lay on the ground, battered and bleeding, but his eyes burned with determination. In that moment, he remembered his purpose: protect the girls at all costs. Every instinct, every ounce of his strength focused on one thing: keeping Sofia and Yoli safe. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the dog slowly rose to his paws, shaking off the pain. The puma, confident from its previous attack, lunged again, but this time Morocho was ready. He dodged with precision, circling the predator and waiting for the perfect moment. He studied the cat's movements, anticipating its speed and power. Every step was calculated, every growl a warning. This fight would not end without a victor. Then, with a sudden burst of courage and skill, Morocho struck. He bit the predator's ear, forcing the puma to recoil in surprise and pain. It was a small but crucial victory, a sign that the tide was turning. The puma, startled and now cautious, began to realize this was no ordinary dog. Morocho was not fighting for pride or instinct. He was fighting for love, for loyalty, for life. Sofia and Yoli watched in awe, hidden behind a tree, as their protector gained the upper hand. The fear that had gripped them moments ago transformed into hope. They could see the determination in Morocho's eyes,
the unshakable resolve that no predator could break. Every leap, every maneuver of the dog showed intelligence and courage, a combination that left the forest trembling. The puma tried to escape, but Morocho was relentless. He chased the predator, cornering it against a large tree, using his weight and strength to prevent another attack. The predator hissed and clawed, but the dog would not yield. Morocho's training, his loyalty, and his sheer willpower had created an unstoppable force, a protector who would not fail. Finally, the turning point was undeniable. Morocho had proven that even the wildest, most dangerous predator could be met with courage and strategy. The fight was far from over, but the predator's confidence had cracked, and the heroism of a single dog shone brighter than ever before.
The forest shook with every movement as Morocho faced the predator one final time. Bloodied but unbroken, the dog stood tall, his gaze locked on the puma, every muscle in his body coiled with tension, ready for the decisive strike. The predator hissed and growled, aware now that it faced not just strength, but intelligence and unwavering courage. With a sudden, explosive movement, Morocho lunged. The impact threw both animals to the ground, dust and leaves swirling around them. The puma thrashed violently, but Morocho held fast, using every ounce of his power to maintain control. The predator's claws raked the air, but the dog's jaw clamped firmly on its neck, forcing the cat to retreat and defend itself. Time seemed to stretch. The girls, hidden behind a tree, could barely breathe as they watched the epic struggle. Fear, hope, and awe collided in their hearts. They had seen Morocho face danger before, but never with stakes this high. Never with life itself hanging in the balance. Then, with a sudden, explosive movement, Morocho pinned the predator decisively. The puma, exhausted and wounded, could no longer fight. Morocho's dominance was clear. With one final push, he forced the wildcat to retreat, limping back into the shadows of the forest, defeated but alive. The forest fell silent once more. Morocho, panting and bloodied, turned to the girls. His eyes, filled with loyalty and calm, reassured them they were safe. The danger had passed. The children ran to him, hugging his strong frame, tears of relief and gratitude streaming down their faces. In that moment, the legend of Morocho became undeniable. He was more than a dog. He was a guardian, a hero, and a symbol of courage. The wild had been faced, danger defeated, and love proven stronger than fear.
The journey back to the farm was slow and painful. Morocho, injured and exhausted, walked beside Sophia and Yoli, who supported each other with trembling hands. Each step was a reminder of the brutal battle, but also of the unwavering courage of their protector. The forest that had seemed threatening moments ago now felt alive with relief and gratitude. When they reached the farmhouse, the sight of Morocho's injuries shocked everyone. Ulises, Sophia's father, rushed forward, his heart pounding. Blood stained Morocho's white coat, and deep scratches ran across his side. But before fear could overwhelm him, the girls told the story. Their words painted a picture of bravery, strategy, and love. A story of a dog who had faced a wild predator to save them. The family's veterinarian arrived immediately, treating Morocho like a soldier returned from battle. His wounds were cleaned, his body examined, but his spirit remained untouched. The vet, amazed by the dog's discipline and calm, remarked that Morocho's fight was driven not by instinct alone, but by loyalty and understanding, the hallmarks of a true guardian. Word of the heroic act spread quickly. Neighbors, journalists, and even distant townspeople came to hear the story of the Dogo Argentino, who had saved 2 children from a puma attack. Morocho became more than a pet. He became a symbol of courage and dedication, a living legend whose tale inspired awe and respect. Sophia and Yoli could hardly believe what had happened. They had been terrified, sure that the end was near, and yet they had been saved by the very being they loved and trusted most. Morocho's presence had transformed fear into safety, chaos into order, and uncertainty into hope. By the end of that day, the bond between the children and Morocho had grown stronger than ever. They understood, in a way only those who face danger together can, that true heroism is not measured by size or power, but by love, loyalty, and the courage to act when it matters most.
Years passed, and Morocho grew older. The scars on his body were not just marks of past battles, but symbols of his bravery. Children who had heard the story from Sophia and Yoli grew up knowing that the dog who saved them was more than a hero. He was a legend. His tale became a lesson in courage, patience, and devotion. The Verdugo family never forgot the day Morocho faced the Puma. Each year, they would remember him under the fig tree, where he had once guided the girls safely home. When Morocho passed away peacefully, his final resting place was simple, a grave marked only with the word "thank you." No monument, no gold, just a recognition of the life of a dog who had given everything to protect those he loved. Sophia and Yoli, now grown, told their children the story of Morocho. They spoke not only of the battle with the Puma, but of the lessons it carried. The importance of courage, the power of loyalty, and the strength found in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Morocho had become more than a family pet. He was a teacher, a guardian, and an everlasting symbol of love. The legend of Morocho spread beyond the farm and even the town. People marveled at the story of a dog who dared to face one of the most dangerous predators of the wild to save children. And in every retelling, the message was clear. True heroes are not always human, and sometimes the bravest souls walk on 4 legs. Even today, the tale of Morocho lives on. The story is passed from generation to generation, reminding everyone that courage can be small in size, but vast in heart. In the forests of northern Argentina, in the hearts of those who knew him, and in the memory of every child who heard his story, Morocho's spirit continues to guard, protect, and inspire. What did you think of Morocho's courage? Tell us your favorite part of the story in the comments. If you believe heroes can have 4 legs, subscribe to the Wind Echo Untold channel and share this story with someone who loves animals and real-life adventures. Tag someone who needs to know Morocho's story. Leave a heart in the comments if you're also moved by stories of loyalty like this. Follow us on social media to discover more real and inspiring legends from the animal and human world.